30 seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Live from the Play Show, yet not overly ostentatious studios of the Infinity Sports Network here in beautiful New York City, sitting on top of the 10th floor of 345 Hudson Street. Welcome on in to a Tuesday edition of the Zach Gelb Show across all the great local Infinity Sports Network affiliates, Sirius XM, Channel 158, the free Odyssey app, and of course, streaming live on YouTube. 855-212-4227 is the number to jump on in. 855-212-4227. And you could always get at me on Instagram, where I'm straight flexing, or via the good old cesspool of Twitter X at Zach Gelb. That's ZACHGELB. We'll have two guests stopping by today. Coming up in an hour 20 from now, Anthony Irwin, who is a Lakers reporter for Lakers Daily. He's also the host of Lakers Lounge on Odyssey. He will stop by. And then at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:20 p.m. Pacific, we will do a college football fix with Neal Brown, the head football coach at West Virginia, who was on the hot seat entering last season. And there was a great expectation he was going to get fired. And here we are after a 9-win season. Neal Brown, once again, still the coach of West Virginia. So we will chat it up with him today. I got to start in the aftermath of the Dan Hurley decision to not take the Los Angeles Lakers job. And he turned down, reportedly, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, a $70 million offer over 6 years. I made that abundantly clear yesterday. I thought that was a lowball offer from the Lakers. You could dress it up like it's this great offer when you present it to Woj, and Woj is just basically your mouthpiece now, as, oh, it would make Dan Hurley the sixth highest paid or one of the top 6 highest paid coaches in the NBA, when this guy turned down an $11.7 an $11 million a year offer from Kentucky, and you only offer him $11.7 million a year. That doesn't do much for me. And the Lakers can present it as if it was a big-time offer, and this was their guy, and this is the guy that they wanted, and he elected to stay at UConn. But if they really wanted him, they could have made him a Godfather type of offer. And they could have made him an offer anywhere between 13 to 16, 13 to 17 million dollars a year, and they could have got their guy. So everything now you hear in the last 24 hours, it's a spin zone in this fight of Woj versus Shams. It's also the Lakers trying to save face, because now the Lakers are really directionless, and we don't know where they're going to go. You know, you're hearing mixed reports now about J.J. Redick. You're hearing mixed reports about James Borrego. It is still stunning to me that Sam Cassell can't get a head coaching job in the association. So I know in this industry, we're supposed to have an opinion. We're supposed to have a take. I'm supposed to give you my best educated guess. I got nothing. Absolutely nothing on who is definitely going to be, in my opinion, the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers. Now, with that being said, I did see a tweet yesterday from LeBron James. So LeBron James, who reportedly, and I roll my eyes at this because I don't believe it, but LeBron James reportedly has nothing to do with this coaching search, doesn't want to have anything to do with this coaching search, and has told the Lakers, don't make this decision off of me because whoever you hire is eventually going to coach this club when I'm not here. So LeBron, even though there was a lot of thought that his guy JJ Redick was going to get the job, and then there was a positive tweet that he had after UConn won another championship about Danny Hurley, and it's like, oh, LeBron would give his blessing. Reportedly, LeBron James has nothing to do with this coaching search. And I just can't buy that. Now, I do think Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss want to make this their hire. And I do think that's been a fight the last few years with LeBron and Pelinka and Jeannie Buss. But I can't believe the notion that LeBron has no say in this and has nothing to do with this and wants nothing to do with this. But LeBron also doesn't have a lot of leverage. And this is where we'll really start the show. Because if LeBron wants to win another championship, he would leave the Lakers. He's going to opt out by the end of the month. However, I'm not a dummy. The expectation is that LeBron is going to be back with the Lakers and he's going to re-sign. But there is that conversation out there, and it's been out there for a while, and it ended up being wrong when he did go to Los Angeles, where many people thought LeBron's going there, he's never going to win another championship, and this was the first move LeBron made that wasn't centered around winning. And then in the COVID year, he was able to win a championship with Anthony Davis, and they were able to get that Larry O'Brien trophy. So LeBron's tenure in Los Angeles hasn't been as successful in other spots, and it's left you wanting more, but it's still successful because when LeBron, and I remember doing shows like this where we talked about this conversation, when LeBron did first elect to go to LA, people didn't think he was going to win. And he already won one championship. But you look at LeBron with all the records that he's broken, and his place in NBA history solidified as a top 2 player of all time, and he's not going to, in all likelihood, ever be the best player of all time, and that's going to be deferred, and that spot's going to be taken up by Michael Jordan. And no, I'm not taking your phone calls today at 855-212-4227 about LeBron versus Michael. That's not what this conversation is going to. But as LeBron gets to be 40 in December, why are you still playing? Now, you love the game, you're addicted to the game, but shouldn't it be to go win a championship and get one more ring? So yesterday, LeBron responded to a tweet. And the tweet was from Cuffs the Legend. People saying LeBron doesn't want to win anymore have no idea what they're talking about. LOL. Okay. That's the tweet that's out there. That's a sentiment that I do share. Not that LeBron, like everyone wants to win, right? Everyone could say, hey, I want to win a championship again. I want to hoist the Larry O'Brien trophy again. But do your actions reflect that statement? And LeBron's actions don't reflect that statement if he stays in Los Angeles. So LeBron sees that tweet and he says, do they ever know what they're talking about? So here's my question to LeBron. And it's a very simple question. You have the ability to leave the Lakers this offseason. The expectation is that you're going to stay. Why do the Los Angeles Lakers, if you're all in, if LeBron James is all in and he only cares about winning another championship, why are the Los Angeles Lakers the best destination for you? And why do they give you the best chance in your last year or 2, 3, however many more years you're going to play to go win another championship? And I don't think there is a satisfactory answer. Because off the top of my head, I could list 5 destinations that I think LeBron would have a better chance to go win a championship in next year and with next year than where he's currently at. And I would say all 5 of these are somewhat realistic. LeBron James can go to the Philadelphia 76ers with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey, and he would have a better chance to win a championship in Philadelphia than with his current group in Los Angeles. LeBron James, he won't because of the departure from Miami and the feud with him and Pat Riley. LeBron James will go to Miami next year, team up with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo, and have a better chance to win a championship in Miami than with the Lakers. We always talk about the possible reunion with Kyrie Irving and LeBron James, and I don't think that will ever happen. And we know LeBron is a big fan of Luka Doncic. Could LeBron go to Dallas, especially if they lose these NBA Finals, and team up with Luka and team up with Kyrie? I would love to see LeBron go to Golden State and team up with Steph Curry, and you put Steph and LeBron on the same team, they have a better chance to win a championship. I don't think they will, but they have a better chance to win a championship in Golden State than LeBron and Anthony Davis do for this upcoming year. And here's the last destination. And this one is a team that was very gritty last year. And I thought it was very fascinating because Leon Rose, I'm about to mention the Knicks, Leon Rose once represented LeBron James. It was his first agent. And then there was a falling out with LeBron's representation, right? Rich Paul, because they did break off, and Leon and LeBron James, right? They were no longer client and agent, representative. Rich Paul did meet with Leon Rose earlier this year. Was there maybe a burying of the hatchet that did occur? That was the way that it was at least reported. So right there, those 5 destinations, just off the top of my head, the Knicks, the Mavericks, the Warriors, the Sixers, and the Heat, I think all give LeBron a better chance to win a championship this upcoming season than staying in Los Angeles, playing with Anthony Davis when the dude always gets hurt, and then also Los Angeles trying to find that third piece to add to this group. And like, who's that third piece going to be? It's not going to be Paul George. Is it Trae Young? That doesn't really move the needle for me. So I don't see, if you're going to keep on claiming you want to win, the path staying in Los Angeles with LeBron still there to win a championship for LeBron James. I think you've met a dead end with your time in LA, where you've already won one. You keep on playing, even though your game is still at a strong level and a great level. You're no longer a top 3 player in the league. You're not considered the best player in the league, but you're still dominant. You're still phenomenal, and you could still win a championship. But that path to go win a championship has to be somewhere else. So LeBron could keep on saying, I want to win, I want to win, I want to win. But if you stay in LA, that does not reflect that statement, because you're not going to win another championship with the Los Angeles Lakers. And there's better destinations out there, the 5 that I just listed. And honestly, the most realistic one are the Philadelphia 76ers. And you could tell me, but Embiid's never hurt. Well, Anthony Davis is never hurt. Is never healthy. And let's be real, Embiid's a better player than Anthony Davis. And you already have the other guy there in Tyrese Maxey. So what I'm saying is LeBron should leave. But I don't expect him to leave whatsoever. I don't. I would be shocked. My jaw would hit the floor, and we know LeBron's going to opt out of this contract. But if we find out when free agency gets underway, breaking news, whether he announces it via an article or an insider or himself on his own, media network and podcast stuff, that LeBron James is leaving the Los Angeles Lakers. He opted out and he's signing somewhere else. He'll opt out. There's a game that's going to get played here, and he'll sign a new extension, but no one thinks it's going to be somewhere else. Everyone, the expectation is that LeBron is back in Los Angeles. But once again, his words, not mine, responding to a tweet that said people saying LeBron doesn't want to win anymore have no idea what they're talking about, LOL. And LeBron says, do they ever know what they're talking about? Well, let me understand, LeBron, why you still actually want to win and why you still actually believe that can occur with the Los Angeles Lakers. Because the way the Lakers have been described in the last 48 to 72 hours has been similar to a circus, has been similar to a dysfunctional organization and a clown show. Because they don't have a coach right now. And that job, even though it's the brand of the Lakers, right? And in name, it's a great job. It's not attracting great candidates. Like Hurley was a great candidate, but they dropped the ball because they didn't offer him enough money. And I don't know if he would have left, but $70 million over 6 years isn't enough for him to leave a very comfy job right now at UConn. So they didn't make the Godfather offer to Danny Hurley. And now what's your options? JJ Redick? James Borrego? And you still have to go get another star, and you have to hope that Anthony Davis stays healthy, and you have to hope that LeBron's body holds up. Lakers ain't winning another championship. They're not winning another championship in LeBron James' era. And I think it's silly, it's pointless, and it's sad that LeBron James's illustrious, legendary career is going to come to a close with him not having a chance to win another championship. But LeBron, you want to open up that window? You want to still have another chance to win a championship? Guess what you do? You opt out and you leave the Lakers. 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. Do you think LeBron James should lead the Los Angeles Lakers? It's a very simple question. Would love to have you participate, whether it's on the phone lines or on Twitter, where you can find it at Zach Gelb, and we'll retweet it on INF Sportsnet. Should LeBron James lead the Lakers this offseason and join a new team? Early returns. 73% say yes, 27% say no. We'll take a time out on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. When we come on back, the Oilers down 0-2 to the Florida Panthers. The Mavs down 0-2 to the Boston Celtics. Who's more likely to come back? Is it the Edmonton Oilers or is it the Dallas Mavericks? I'll give you my answer next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
This is the Infinity Sports Network.
All righty, it is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network, where I am not a doctor. So, I am going to give you an injury update on Kristaps Porzingis, and when we get to the certain part of the body that he injured, you will notice that I'm going to say that part of the body very quickly, because I have no clue how to pronounce this. I have absolutely zero clue, and I have no understanding until I read what part of the body it is, what the injury is, and I still don't get how serious the injury is. So, here is the Kristaps Porzingis injury update. Celtics center Kristaps Porzingis suffered a torn medial reticulum, allowing dislocation of the posterior tibialis tendon in his left leg at 3:27 of the third quarter of Game 2. This injury is unrelated to Porzingis' prior right calf injury. After consultation with numerous specialists regarding this rare injury, his availability for upcoming games will be determined day to day. So, I'll tell you what this injury is in just a second. It is weird to me, though, how it's a rare injury, right? When you say something is a rare injury, that makes me think you're going to be out for some time and it's serious. But then his availability for the upcoming games, and the next game is tomorrow evening, Game 3, will be determined day to day. So I have no clue if this is super serious. It sounds super serious. Or if it's like, there's a chance he plays again. Now, Brian Suterer, who is a doctor, said the medial reticulum. I think that's how I say it.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Sure.
Aren't you intelligent? Didn't you go to BU, Santer? Didn't you go to Boston University?
Yeah, I'm intelligent, but I haven't done surgery in at least a decade.
Oh, okay. You do look like, by the way. You look like today that you're Steve Blues Clues in that
Every
green
time
shirt.
I wear this shirt, I'm Steve from Blues Clues. You know, I'll take it.
Oh, jeez. Also, the camera zoomed in all the way on you right out of the gate. So this injury, according to the doctor, is like a seatbelt that keeps the tendons in place as they course around the inside of the ankle bone. There are 3 tendons that travel along the inside of the ankle, and that seatbelt keeps them secured in place. The posterior tibialis tendon is one of said tendons. So, once again, I am not a doctor. I will not pretend to be a doctor. But when I read these things and the way that it's getting presented, it seems like it's a serious injury. Now, can he play through it? That's the question, and I don't know. So Kristaps Porzingis, obviously in game 1, was the Celtics' best player. Gave him a tremendous boost off the bench, coming off the injury, right? That calf injury that he suffered. And Kristaps Porzingis was a stud for the Celtics in a game 1 victory. Game 2, the Boston Celtics got a victory where it was Drew Holiday being their best player, and the Celtics are now up 2-0. So, we didn't know how effective Kristaps Porzingis was going to be going into the NBA Finals. And now, after thinking he survived through all this injury that did occur with how he played in game 1, and then you saw him obviously get hurt in game 2, you knew there was going to be some update. The Celtics are up 2-0, and now we're back where we were before the series started, where you don't know what to expect out of Kristaps the rest of the way. But at least you're up 2-0 and you got that great game 1 performance out of him. Now, Santa, this is what I'll say. I can't expect, maybe he will exceed the expectations. I think he'll try to give it a go again in the NBA Finals. He said something the other day, like, I think it was Mazzulla or something, like, you're going to have to drag him off the court, or he may have said something along the lines of, I'll die out there to go win a championship, things like that. So I appreciate Kristaps Porzingis, whose entire career has been a bunch of different injuries. I appreciate him wanting to play. But the question is, can you play and can you be effective? Because I was at Madison Square Garden for game 2 of the Indiana Pacers and the New York Knicks when I was a row away from OG Anunoby running off the court screaming, oh bleep, oh bleep, oh bleep, with the hamstring injury. He tried to come back in game 7. He made like 2 shots right out of the gate, but when he ran back the other way on defense, it looked like he was trying to hold in having to go number 2, and he was like tiptoeing back to defense, and clearly he was not healthy enough to play, even though he was out there, got put on the bench, and did not play again. So I do think, Samter, you will see Kristaps again. I don't know if he'll play in game 3, but I can't really expect him to be all that productive. And if he is, man, that becomes a heck of a story, because not only was there an injury going in, now there's a new injury, and there's anywhere from this being a rare injury, and then his availability is going to be determined day to day. So I have no clue if this is serious, even though it sounds serious, or if this is something that you can play through and be okay with.
My initial reaction was, man, like, the Mavericks have to crush the Celtics in game 3 if Porzingis isn't going to play. But then I saw this stat. Mm-hmm. The Celtics are 30-5 this season without Porzingis, 9-1 in the playoffs. One of those regular season wins without KP was by 9 points on the road in Dallas. So it seems like the team is pretty good and doesn't really need Porzingis, whether or not he's healthy.
So I think it's a fascinating stat that you give. And sometimes you go, okay, that's encouraging news, right? If you're a Celtics fan for a crappy situation, all things considered, you're top 2-0 in the NBA Finals. But talking about the Porzingis thing, however, the Celtics only lost 18 games this year in the regular season. And in the postseason, up until the Dallas Mavericks, they haven't played anybody. They played 3 teams, and all 3 of those teams were maligned with injuries. Jimmy Butler, who was out against the Heat. Then you had Halliburton be out. And the series before that, Donovan Mitchell and like 7 other Cavaliers were out as well. So can they win a championship without him? Absolutely. You're up 2-0 in the NBA Finals, and you're a better team than the Dallas Mavericks. But in terms of what I could expect from Kristaps the rest of the way, I expect nothing. And even though the injury sucks, and it seems like it sucks, at least he was able to give you that game 1 and some of the game 2 performance that he did. So I'll bring this up. We have 2 championships right now going on. The Stanley Cup Final, and then you have the NBA Finals. Both the Oilers and the Dallas Mavericks are down 0-2. They are going home. And both of the teams that are up 2-0 have a player whose injury status is in question. Barkov for the Panthers has been sensational. That dude is unbelievable. He may have a broken jaw, but like hockey players, right? They're the toughest people ever. He's questionable. And according to NHL.com, it's possible he could play for the Panthers in Game 3. So you have that injury with Florida. Florida's up 2-0, where Florida got dominated in Game 1 from a shot production. They still won the game. Then last night, they dominated the Oilers from a shot production, and they won the game. They're up 2-0. The Boston Celtics have Kristaps Porzingis now injured, and we don't know what to expect from Kristaps the rest of the way. And now Porzingis, with his status up in the air, they're up 2-0, the Celtics, and they go back to Dallas. So I'll just ask this question. Who's more likely to come back? Is it the Oilers or is it the Mavs? I don't think either the Oilers or the Mavs are winning this series, to be clear. I picked the Panthers to win the Stanley Cup in 6 games. I picked the Boston Celtics to win the NBA Finals Larry O'Brien Trophy in 6 games. But if I had to pick one or the other, my first instinct was, you know what? It's probably the Oilers because you got McDavid, you got Draisaitl. They basically have done nothing in this series so far, and they're 2 of the top 5 players in the NHL. And hockey, it could change on one game, and it's so unpredictable. But I just don't see a way. Like, I can't envision when this series is over and Gary Bettman is handing out the Stanley Cup. That's how good the Panthers are. Like, I can't envision the Panthers, who were in the Cup final last year and lost, which they had an incredible run, which all started when they down 3-1 to Boston, who had a historically great season, and they came back and they beat Boston in Game 7 at TD Garden. And then they lose in the Stanley Cup final when they were hurt to the Vegas Golden Knights. I can't see a year later, and I said this all throughout the year, that the Panthers are the best team in hockey. I can't see them losing the Stanley Cup. Now, I don't think the Celtics are going to lose, but we've seen before the Celtics be considered that team and then disappoint. And with how big Porzingis was in Game 1, I think it's more likely that the Mavs would take 3 and 4 on their home court than it is the Oilers take 3 and 4 on their home ice. Now, in reality, because I'll answer the question, I do think it's the Mavs who are more likely to come back and win this series than the Oilers. In reality, the way that I think this is going to go down is that they will split 3 and 4, Oilers and Panthers. They will split 3 and 4, Celtics and Mavericks. And even though I predicted both teams to win in Game 6, I could see the Celtics now winning in 5. Hockey closing out in Game 5 is a little difficult when you have a 3-1 lead, as I've seen through these Stanley Cup playoffs. It wouldn't shock me if it gets back to 6 and then the Panthers close them out. But it does feel like both of these series right now, until I see the home team take 3 and 4, it feels like these are going to be quick NBA Finals and then a Stanley Cup Final as well. So who's more likely to come back? Is it the Oilers or is it the Mavericks? 855-212-4227, 855-212-4227. We will come on back. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. You can always find me on social media at Zach Gelb or at INF Sportsnet. And the poll question today has to do with LeBron James, and it's very, very, very simple. Should LeBron James leave the Lakers this offseason and join a new team? 72% say yes, 28% do say no. We'll take a timeout. When we come on back, we'll update you some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We call that segment the News Brief. But look who's here today. My radio godmother, the great Erica Herskowitz with the latest Infinity Sports Network update.
Infinity Sports Network Sports Flash.
Hey there, Zach. And the status of Boston center Kristaps Porzingis is now up in the air for Game 3 of the NBA Finals in Dallas tomorrow night because he has something that we can't pronounce. It's considered a rare injury to his left leg. He is day-to-day. Meanwhile, according to reports, Luka Doncic received a pain-killing injection for a thoracic contusion, which to me seems like a bruised rib prior to Game 2, and he is expected to get another before Game 3. Boston leads that series 2-0. In the NFL, Aaron Rodgers was a no-show at Jets' mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Robert Saleh calling it an inexcused absence, which means he's subject to a fine. Saleh says Rodgers told him he had a prior commitment that was important to him. T. Higgins didn't report to Bengals' mandatory camp today as he seeks a long-term deal, and Amari Cooper's absence from Browns minicamp was also unexcused, also most likely contract-related. Meanwhile, from baseball, Phillies All-Star catcher JT Realmuto will have surgery on his right knee, so the Phils placed him on the 10-day injured list today. No timetable yet for his return. I'm Erica Herskowitz.
855-212-4227. That's the number to get in touch with us, the Infinity Sports Network. Give us a call, 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
The Defensive Player of the Week is sponsored by the Navy Federal Credit Union on the Zach Gelb Show, who proudly serves the Armed Forces, DoD veterans, and their families. The members are the mission. Learn more at NavyFederal.org. This week, it's Celtics defensive star Derek White, who had 3 steals and 2 blocks in Game 2, including a clutch game-saving block on a P.J. Washington dunk attempt with less than a minute left to preserve Boston's win. I'll get to a news brief in just a second. I do have a note on UFC 303, but this weekend is Father's Day. Samter, I've been noticing ever since you moved into your new house, you've been bringing in a lot of barbecue, and you've been barbecuing a lot. What do you think is going to be on the menu come Sunday? Are you the type of father that expects people to do for you, or are you the one that says, I'm going to take it into my own hands, I'm going to cook, I'm going to make a great meal for my family, and then we'll celebrate me that day?
You know what? I hadn't really thought about it because I haven't had that opportunity to grill out on Father's Day, but I feel like this might be the first time I get to just kind of pop it open and really fire up the grill. Mm-hmm. It's a beautiful grill.
You could use like an apron and a chef's hat, I think.
Yeah, like kiss the chef.
I think it would be a good look for you.
Kiss me, I'm Irish, but I'm not really Irish.
I'm going to my father's house, my parents' house on Sunday. And my dad has already gone out of his way to say that he is making filet wrapped in bacon, which you don't need to say anything more. I'll say, okay, what time do you want me to show up? And I will definitely be there. Chris Hess, for Father's Day, what's on the menu in your house?
My dad isn't really the cooking type. I'm sure we'll do something nice.
Guys going to go out for dinner?
Possibly. Okay. Not really sure yet. I'm also going to be here on Father's Day,
so you're not
working at night. We'll figure something out. We always do it. We do it every year, so we'll figure something out.
Yeah, you'll text that. Hey, happy Father's Day. Have a good life. I did see Michael in California, who's a lawyer and a chef, right? Michael in California. We got into a conversation, and he said in the YouTube chat he's doing 20 racks of baby backs on 4th of July. So this is not for Father's Day. In his smoker, along with 5 pounds of smoked candied pork belly, sausages, and pig shots. This is why I love Michael in California.
What's a pig shot?
So funny you say that. I will give you that answer in just a second. But I already love Michael in California because he's already talking about his July 4th menu. Can we get an invite to that July 4th little soiree, wherever Michael is doing that in California? I would love to attend that. So I didn't know what a pig shot was. I assumed, right, it was something with bacon, you would think. And I Googled it, and it says they are bacon cups filled with cream cheese filling and topped with jalapeno. They are smoked and glazed for one amazing bite after another. When I just Googled what is a pig shot. Oh, they look delicious. It looks like a great appetizer. And it looks like there's like a little maple bourbon glaze on it too. I have to do the show here now. We have to seriously sit here and do a show until 6 p.m. Eastern time when we're getting told what a pig shot is? That sounds delicious. Really delicious answer.
Let's see how well you can broadcast while your mouth is watering thinking about these pig shots.
Not well. I once did a remote at Buffalo Wild Wings when I was first in radio. And, big wig on the radio, fat mouth will make some promises that maybe you can't keep. I kept on seeing them do the Blazing Hot Challenge. So they'd have me there for every Thursday before the football games. So one day I said I would do it. The problem is I did it at 5 p.m. Eastern time. The show went till 6. And it did not take long, the Blazing Hot Challenge. And I had to sit through the rest of the show like with my mouth on fire. So now with my mouth watering about this food, it's maybe not so much difficult in talking. It's just the mental part of it now. Thinking about this delicious food that Michael is preparing in California. Anywho, Ariel Helwani, who covers the UFC, is basically the Adam Schefter of the UFC. So the latest on UFC 303, which I've said before, I hope I'm dead wrong, which is the supposed return of Conor McGregor going up against Michael Chandler at the end of the month on June 29th. I said last week this is starting to feel like Pacquiao and Mayweather, where it just keeps on getting delayed, and then doesn't happen. And then when it eventually does happen, it's clear that the fight should have been done years earlier. And obviously, it's not going to live up to the hype. But I've been saying I almost believe that I'll think the fight's going to happen when I actually see it. Now, last week, my good friend Channing Crowder did an interview in the house of Michael Chandler. He went to Michael Chandler's house for the pivot. They did an interview. Channing was asking me a few things about Michael Chandler, and it seemed like the fight was going to be on. Here is the latest on UFC 303, according to Ariel Helwani. Around this time last week, all the anxiety surrounding the UFC 303 main event seemed to start to dissipate. By Wednesday, no more feelers about replacements were being sent out. All systems seemed to be a go again. Later in the week, Chandler did an interview with The Pivot about it being all good. Remember when they had the press conference that was canceled in Ireland? On Saturday, UFC was promoting it again, and on the ABC Fight Night telecast, there was a scare about the fight being off, and the scare appeared to be no more. But since this morning, multiple sources are now telling Ariel Helwani, saying feelers are being sent out again for June 29th for replacement and or new fights. In short, there seems to be pessimism all over again regarding the status of the 303 main event. Actually, even more pessimism, it seems, than on Monday last week after the presser was canceled at the last minute. Is this insurance, due diligence, emergency replacement mode? Remains to be seen. It's all developing again, but it doesn't appear as thought we are out of the woods either way just yet. More to come, and hopefully a definitive answer one way or another in short order. So that's the breaking news with UFC 303. We are back in the mode of, all right, let's see if this fight's going to happen. All righty, let's update you on some of the biggest stories in the world of sports with some audio. We get to a news brief.
Time for your daily news brief. We get you caught up on the rumors, reports, and reconnaissance from the day in sports.
All right, let's go to Jordan Love, the quarterback of the Go Pack Go. He was talking about his wide receivers.
We have a lot of depth at the receiver position, which I think is a really good thing. I think it's a good problem to have. You don't have to have a number one receiver. I think it works out well when you can spread the ball out and you got different guys making different plays and you can put them in different areas. I think it puts a lot more stress on the defense and, the calls that they can get in. So I think in the long run it helps us in not having a number one guy, a true number one guy, but I think all those guys can step up and be the one, any given day.
We've seen some quarterbacks win Super Bowls without having a number one wide receiver. You look at Patrick Mahomes the last 2 years, has won 2 Super Bowls without having a number one wide receiver. Tom Brady, we know how many Super Bowls he won without having a true definition of a number one wide receiver. Brady and Mahomes, though, are out of this world. So you can win without having a number one wide receiver, and I get the point of diversity, and Romeo Doubs is a solid player. I think Christian Watson is better if he could stay on the field, but your quarterback has to be that dude. And at the end of last season, people thought Love was that dude. If he continues to get better and better and better, yes, he's right. But if Love is just good and not great, then you got to beef up that wide receiving core and maybe go get a difference maker and a true number one wide receiver in the wide receiving game. Let's go to Darius Big Play Slay of the Eagles. He revealed that he almost left the Philadelphia Eagles.
Look, it's about how they wanted to do the cap thing, you know what I'm saying? Just using leverage. Everybody does it. They use leverage against us. They use age against us to leverage us. So why I use the cap number against them, you know what I'm saying? To get the money I want, they use the age, the money they want to offer me. So it's always just be ticking tack. That's just how the business be. But at the end of the day, for sure, I almost was a Baltimore Raven, though. I really committed to the Ravens and was finna go. Then Dom called me and said, Slay, I want you here, da-da-da. And I'm like, you know what, Dom? If you calling me Dom, I'm coming back. You know what I'm saying? I love Dom.
Right. And that's Big Dom. We all know Big Dom. If Big Dom calls you up and says, maybe you should rethink leaving the Philadelphia Eagles, you have a big Italian like that saying that, maybe you think you're going to get whacked. It'll be like a Sopranos episode if you end up leaving Philadelphia and going to Baltimore. Here is Mike Silver on Papa and Lund on KMBR on the Brandon Ayuk contract situation, final year of his contract on the fifth-year option of his rookie deal.
I would just say it this way. Number one, that Pearsall pick was a major statement. They're saying we need to have at least one receiver on a rookie deal, and we really like this guy. Now, Brandon Ayuk, who I'm hearing maybe their offers in the $26 million range, which, you know, it's certainly not just Justin Jefferson money, nor should it be, but it's closer to that Devontae Smith, Amon-Ra St. Brown, that next tier down.
I've been saying this for the majority of the offseason. I'll continue to say it. Brandon Ayuk is going to get a contract extension from the 49ers. Brandon Ayuk is not a better all-around player than Deebo Samuel, but he is younger and he's the better wide receiver. I think they will extend Ayuk, and then they will trade Deebo after this season. Deebo will have one more year left on his contract after this season. Here is Tyler Glasnow of the Dodgers. He was asked about Micah Parsons claiming he could hit 200 in Major League Baseball. Here is Tyler on the Chris Rose rotation.
This is Micah Parsons talking about trying to hit Major League pitching. I want you to listen to this.
We played in 162 MLB games, 5 at-bats every game. How many hits do you think you could get?
I think I get about 200. No. The pitchers are not good. Hold on, let me do the percentages because I think I can go about 200.
Oh, he's crazy.
Like average 200.
Okay. I mean, okay, what?
Well, what's your reaction? Go ahead.
First, I have to look at did he ever play baseball? No. If he had a 500 at bats, 5 hits.
That's what I said.
Maybe. Yeah, 5 hits for sure. I don't think I think once he steps in and sees like a big league, like he'd be like, oh, never mind. Like you know what I mean? I think it's good to have the confidence. I appreciate the confidence, but 5 hits, maybe.
So I'm a little confused there what Micah Parsons was saying. At first, he's like, oh, I could get 200 hits. And then he was like, oh, no, I mean, I could bat 200, right? So he thinks he could bat. There's no way Micah Parsons could bat 200. Micah Parsons does a lot of stupid things. Let's go to Dustin Poirier. He admits that his plan was to retire if he won at UFC at the Prudential Center, the MMA Hour with Ariel Helwani.
By the way, if you would have won, would you have retired on the spot?
Yeah.
That was the plan?
Mm-hmm.
Come, really? You reached the mountaintop, you were going to retire right then and there?
With the ultimate view.
Oh, my God. How do you always have these lines? It's unbelievable. You could have gotten a gigantic payday with the belt. You were going to lay it down. You were going to say,
all
I'm
of
done.
my paydays are gigantic.
I know, but as champion is a different kind of payday, no?
No,
okay.
I get that. No, I was going to put the belt down with the gloves.
Oh,
both of them.
What a scene.
Yeah, well, after the fight, you could tell how torn it was. It seemed like he was going to still walk away. And then when I talked to him and I said, how tough is it mentally to get back in the octagon if you are thinking about walking away? And he did say, when I'm in the octagon and I'm training, that's where I'm at peace. It's what happens once you do retire that scares the crap out of him. All right, we'll take a time out. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Aaron Rodgers, not at day one of Jets' mandatory minicamp. What does it mean? We'll discuss next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Yo, hour number 2 of our radio program. That's right. It is the Zach Gelb Show. Anthony Irwin going to stop by coming up 20 minutes from now. He's a Lakers reporter for Lakers Daily, and he's the host of Lakers Lounge on Odyssey. And coming up at 5:20 p.m. Eastern Time, 2:20 p.m. Pacific today, we'll do a little college football fix with Neal Brown, the head football coach at West Virginia. But first, I was not anticipating today when I did wake up that we'd have to talk about Aaron Rodgers. And the Jets are a fascinating team to me this year. They have a great defense. They have tinkered with their offensive line. We'll see if the offensive line can stay healthy. You know, Breece Hall is an exceptional running back, and Garrett Wilson is a really damn good wide receiver. But with all of those things being said, you take a look at the Jets, and when you're dealing with the Jets, you always just anticipate that something is going to go wrong. And that's what people feel like always ends up happening with the Jets. You know, there was so much optimism with the Jets last year, and then 3-4 plays into the season, on Monday Night Football, he ends up getting hurt. And you see the Achilles injury, and you have Aaron Rodgers done for the season, and the Jet season was over right there. So you go from that to then, all right, you got to deal with the entire rest of the season, knowing you don't got a quarterback, but you got a solid team. And then this offseason, for the Jets, it's like just get you to the season, see if Aaron Rodgers can be healthy, and then you go from there, where the Jets on paper have a damn good team. But with that being said, you play in a loaded AFC. You know, just look at your own division. You got the Miami Dolphins. You got the Buffalo Bills. You go through the rest of the AFC. Every team in the AFC North can make the playoffs. In the AFC South, from top to bottom, that's a heck of a division with the Texans and the Jaguars, the Colts. You know, Tennessee even made a bunch of improvements this offseason. And you take a glance then at Kansas City. They're the standard. The Chargers have Harbaugh, and I can't really expect much with the Raiders or the Broncos. So this AFC is loaded. I think the Jets can be anywhere of just missing out on the playoffs, but being like a 9-8 team, or winning like 11, 12 games. That's how large of a range it is. The farthest I could absolutely see the Jets going this year, just in my mind, is maybe getting to an AFC championship game. And Rodgers able to get to a bunch of NFC championship games towards the end in Green Bay, but he wasn't able to elevate, right, and get to that next Super Bowl and get to that second Super Bowl of his career. So this offseason for the Jets, it's been just getting to the regular season, but it's funny to me how the offseason really did start with Aaron Rodgers doing an interview, and he talked on the Jets last season, and he basically said now they have to cut out all the distractions. Rodgers said the bull bleep that has nothing to do with winning has to get out of the building. And this entire offseason has been pretty much a bunch of bull bleep dealing with Aaron Rodgers. Is he going to run for vice president with RFK Jr.? You know, all the comments that he makes on the 9,000 podcasts that he goes on. So Rodgers creates a lot of distractions, and he'll kind of scoff at all that, and he'll go, I'm just being me, I'm just giving my opinion. But he knows what he's doing when he does this stuff. And I've said this about Rodgers before. He's an attention whore. He is. There's no other way around it. Now, if you're a Jet fan, what else are you going to do? You made the deal for Aaron Rodgers. I wouldn't regret making that deal. It was worth the gamble for the potential reward. It's just so unfortunate that a year ago, that idea of seeing him play for an entire season in the Jets uniform and seeing what this team could be went right out the window. So now he's coming off an Achilles, and there's a lot of drama surrounding Aaron Rodgers. But I will come to the defense of Aaron Rodgers for a little bit. And I've said this before. These off-season workouts, or these workouts to get you ready for the season, they're monotonous. I don't think Aaron Rodgers needs them to be the best version of himself on the field this upcoming year. But him not being there today to start Jets mandatory minicamp, it is a distraction because it becomes a talking point. Now, in reality, do I think it impacts the Jets season one way or another? I do not. Are people looking for content this time of the year? Absolutely. But it is weird to me, or just like funny to me, that Aaron Rodgers went to almost all the voluntary workouts, but then when it's the mandatory start of the portion of the schedule, he's not there. So Robert Saleh was at the podium today, and there were two issues with the Jets. One, Hassan Reddick, who was disgruntled with this contract in Philadelphia, got traded to the Jets. I guess they haven't had a ton of communication. Saleh and him, they talked briefly, I guess, over the weekend, is my understanding from the way that it's been talked about. He wants a new contract. He hasn't got that new contract. I guess the Jets thought he was going to show up. He did not show up today. So he had a charity event. I know Hassan, being a Temple guy and going to school at the same time, he does I think it's like a play day each and every year, a charity event. And that was over this weekend. You had a reporter out there. I think it was Ryan Dunleavy, who tried to get a comment asking if he was going to show up. And Hassan Reddick gave no comment. So you could kind of assume that Reddick wasn't going to show up. But Reddick is under contract, so he's subjected under the CBA to get fined. But here is the part about Aaron Rodgers missing the workout and the practices today that were mandatory, and this is what Robert Saleh had to say to try to give some clarity.
He's been very good in communication. He's been here the entire time. It's inexcused, but he had an event that was very important to him, which he communicated.
So here's my question. It's an inexcused absence, but Rodgers has been in constant contact with the team, and it's an event that's important to him. So, if you're going to say it's an inexcused absence, it kind of gives me off the feeling and just the read of the room when you say it's an event that's important to him, that Robert Saleh thinks Aaron Rodgers should be there. And it feels like Robert Saleh is not happy that Aaron Rodgers isn't there for whatever the reason is with the team. And I don't know, to be fair, because the Jets didn't say it or no one has reported it, what the event is that is important to him. And could there be something that is important enough that you could miss this monotonous kind of practice? I think the answer is yes. But wouldn't the Jets try to get in front of this when they know how the New York media works and they know how Aaron Rodgers, right, gets covered in the NFL, where everything he does is a story? So wouldn't you try to put the flames out here on this mini fire? And I don't want to, because this will come off sounding strong. It's not like Robert Saleh threw gasoline on the fire and this is like a big now crazy fire. But Robert Saleh was given a fire extinguisher and had the option to put out the small fire, and he didn't elect to do so. Because, yes, it's an inexcused absence, but when you say it's an event that's important to him, it just makes me think that you don't view it's a valid reason for him not being there. And I don't know about you, Samter. I'm trying to think, what could Rodgers be at? Like, is there something going on now, even though he's not going to be RFK Jr.'s vice president? What a statement still. Could it be some event to support his friend RFK Jr.? I guess that's plausible. Could he be speaking at some ayahuasca convention? I guess that's possible. Could he maybe say, I want to get away and go on one of those darkness retreats again before I get ready for the season? I guess that is possible. But whatever the reason is, it's clear Robert Saleh isn't happy that he's not there, and Robert Saleh, who says it's an event that's important to him, the Jets head coach doesn't think the reason why he's not there is satisfactory enough for him to not be in the building. You got to turn your mic on.
There's just so much noise around the Jets. Like, whether it's Saleh being the sexiest coach or
who
Rodgers
cares about that?
mixing,
That's some dopey
there's
list.
just so much nonsense around the Jets. At the end of the day, like, the Jets have been held hostage in a sense by Aaron Rodgers. They've allowed him to do whatever he wants to do, and they
have no other choice.
Sure, but they had an opportunity to like put their foot down, tell him you can't do this. You can't. Or
No,
Aaron,
they don't.
Aaron, don't do. They've had. He's under contract, right?
Oh, and that means nothing. Means nothing.
I mean, it does.
But it's the same thing as the Brooklyn Nets. They had opportunities to tell Kevin Durant and Kyrie, we're going to take the organization back. But when you commit to someone like Aaron Rodgers, you know you're handing your organization over to Aaron Rodgers. It's not like the Jets innocently got into the Aaron Rodgers business and didn't know what to expect. We saw it was playing out in Green Bay.
But there's a difference, right? Like when Tom Brady went to the Bucs knew they were handing the keys to Brady, but they weren't giving Brady carte blanche to do and say and be whatever he wanted to do.
Yeah, because Brady's a reasonable quarterback, and Brady's a much better leader than Aaron Rodgers, and Brady knows what it takes to go win.
So the problem is...
But he was able to get it. Brady basically ran the entire Bucs organization. He knows how to work with a big-name coach before because he did it with Bill Belichick, even though it was a bad end. But remember, hey, it happened with you guys when it was Tiki and Tierney. Bruce Arians came on and said Antonio Brown's not going to be on this team. Brady wanted him. Brady ended up winning. Brady ended up getting Antonio Brown.
And how'd that work out?
They won a Super Bowl.
Well, yeah, but then...
He caught a touchdown in the Super Bowl. It was worth it. I know the next year he acted like a jackass running off the field, taking his shirt off and leaving the pads on the sidelines, but they won a Super Bowl.
They would have been fine without Antonio Brown.
Antonio Clown, I can't stand him. Don't get me wrong. I can't stand him. But that era for the Bucs ended up working with Antonio Brown.
But the difference was that Tom Brady wasn't doing things that was sabotaging the team. The problem is that Aaron Rodgers is doing all this off-field nonsense, whether it's RFK Jr. and the political stuff or all the different podcast stuff or all the BS he's saying needs to exit the building or not showing up to different camps. All these things that are distracting the team he's doing. So they gave him the keys, and now they're realizing they handed it to a guy who has a suspended license, doesn't know how to drive a car, and is going to smash the car into a brick wall. And the Jets are starting to say, you know, we're sick of this.
I disagree with that.
The Jets are starting to say, we're sick of this. That the juice might not be worth the squeeze. This guy's more of a pain in the ass than he's worth.
I vehemently disagree with that. Don't get me wrong. Aaron Rodgers does a lot of things that I don't like, but name me the better quarterback the Jets were going to get than Aaron Rodgers. They weren't going to be able to. The Jets are screwed without Aaron Rodgers because we've seen it before. This is an incompetent organization. And Robert Saleh could be annoyed at Aaron Rodgers, but without Aaron Rodgers, guess what? You would have been fired. You would have been fired after last season. But Rodgers was more than fine with you coming back, and that's the only reason why he is back. And guess what happens? At least the Jets are relevant right now. I know it's a low bar, but the moment Rodgers leaves, guess what happens? The Jets don't have a quarterback. And the Jets go from being one of those teams that we've seen in the league that have a good roster, but they never get the quarterback position right. So, yes, are there headaches? Yes, can there be distractions? Can there be some icy moments with the media? Absolutely. But the juice is still worth the squeeze, in my opinion. Because if Aaron Rodgers isn't there, what are we talking about? We're talking about the Jets having a loaded defense. We're talking about the Jets having a good young wide receiver in Garrett Wilson, having a phenomenal young running back in Breece Hall, and it's going to be the same thing that it was the last few years. Oh, but the Jets don't have a quarterback. Sam Darnold was a bust. Zach Wilson was a bust. You know, whoever they bring in, it doesn't work out. You know, Rodgers is still a great player. Even when Aaron Rodgers isn't at his best, he's still a top 10 quarterback easily in this league. And this is why Jet fans so passionately defend Aaron Rodgers. It's because it gives them at least hope that they could get the job done. And I don't think Aaron Rodgers wins a Super Bowl in New York. I think there's a chance the Jets miss the playoffs this year. I do. I don't think they're going to win a Super Bowl. I don't think they're going to get to a Super Bowl. They're probably not even going to get to an AFC title game. But the Jet fan has been tortured for so long, you would know. You left being a Jet fan to go root for the Kansas City Chiefs, Samter, that at least the name Aaron Rodgers with his greatness gives them hope. And we'll see if it works. But Rodgers missing this practice, is it a distraction? Yeah, sure. But is it going to impact anything that happens during the season? I don't believe so. Now, it is hypocritical when you're saying, oh, we got to cut out all the BS, and then you're continuously providing BS after BS. But I would love to know what he is missing this event for, like what event he is missing this practice for when he was there for all the voluntary stuff. Because if it was something that, and maybe this is bad media training by Robert Saleh, but if Robert Saleh actually thought it was a valid reason, he's not saying, oh, it's an inexcused absence and this is something that's important to him. You know, it's kind of like Sean McDermott a little bit. When you had the whole Stephon Diggs thing last year, McDermott was obviously frustrated with Diggs, and then he goes, yeah, obviously it's concerning. And then they tried to put the toothpaste back in the tube once it did get out. All right, it is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will talk more about the Los Angeles Lakers when we come on back, who's going to be coaching their team next season. And also, should LeBron, who in all likelihood will opt out and then re-sign with the Lakers, should he rethink that? And should he leave L.A. this offseason? Anthony Irwin, who covers the Lakers for Lakers Daily and is also the host of Odyssey's Lakers Lounge, will join us next.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
If you are what you say you are, a superstar.
The fun continues on the Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show. We'll be joined momentarily, hopefully with Anthony Irwin, who covers the Lakers as a reporter for Lakers Daily, and he's the host of Lakers Lounge right here on Odyssey. As a lot's going on with the LA Lakers right now, as the expectation is LeBron is going to be back with them for this upcoming season, will opt out, and then will re-sign with them. But we don't know who's going to be coaching the Los Angeles Lakers. Earlier in the week, maybe it was going to be Dan Hurley. You know, that started to funnel out last week, and then Hurley announces yesterday, nope, I'm going to end up staying with the UConn Huskies. So a lot of questions surrounding the Lakers right now. So let's welcome in the Lakers reporter for Lakers Daily and the host of Lakers Lounge on Odyssey. He's Anthony Irwin. He's kind enough to join us on the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Anthony, appreciate you doing this. How you been?
For having me, nice, quiet week or so here for the Lakers. There's nothing really going on.
Yeah, well, let me start you off with Hurley. So, right when it first came out, I thought to myself, not a fit, don't think it's going to happen. Then, as I started to think about it more, I'm like, he's going to be the next coach of the Lakers just because it came out of nowhere. When it was announced yesterday he was staying with UConn, what was the initial reaction when the Lakers didn't get Dan Hurley?
So the Lakers were pretty surprised. They really thought that they had a chance here at getting him. They were really impressed. The Lakers were impressed with their meetings, is shocking, I know. But the Lakers thought that they made a compelling offer. They were confident walking out of those meetings that they had a chance at Hurley. The offer has been very polarizing in league circles, where some people are saying they were getting ready to pay a rookie head coach more than everybody but a handful of other coaches in the NBA. If you're optimistic about that offer, and others have pointed out that you got to cross the Monty Williams bar and that threshold to convince somebody to leave a potential three-peat the way that the Lakers were asking Hurley to leave there. So the Lakers, as recently or in that run-up to his decision, they were somewhat in the dark on Monday morning, and they were waiting just like the rest of us. They found out, I think, a little earlier than everybody did, but they thought they had a chance, and now they're really kind of left scrambling.
Yeah, when I was spitballing on Thursday, I thought, like you said, the Monty Williams kind of situation, get him a little bit past that, go $80 million over 6 years. The offer, according to Adrian Wojnarowski, ended up being $70 million over 6 years. It's like, okay, the Lakers could say they wanted to go get Dan Hurley, but to me, that's not a Godfather offer, and it feels like the Lakers dropped the ball on this one.
Yeah, so there were reports out there that the Lakers were, the offer that was being expected, that was pretty clearly being leaked by, I thought, Hurley's side of things, was that $100 million threshold. And I reached out to the people that I've spoken to or that I normally lean on for Lakers information. And when I asked them, this is pretty clearly him saying what he's expecting from you. How confident are you that the Lakers will get to that level? And the people that I was talking to gave me like a cautiously optimistic yes, that they thought that they were prepared to go that high, and that's what I reported before the weekend. And so when I found out that the offer was only 6 years, $70 million, I thought that the Lakers didn't use their full budget at their disposal for this thing. And I don't know, given that the Lakers just don't seem to have a plan B here, you really have to make that Godfather offer. You have to get your guy if you are left scrambling the way that the Lakers have been left scrambling here. This has just really seemed to me to be a very disorganized process.
Anthony Irwin here with us. So then it makes me ask, why? Why didn't the Lakers make that above and beyond offer to make sure that they get Dan Hurley?
They think that it's an honor to coach the Los Angeles Lakers. They think that there should be kind of an inherent discount to coaching the Lakers because it raises your awareness elsewhere whenever it is that you leave. And I'm finding out, and I think the Lakers are finding out, that just is the wrong way to go about this. They lowballed Ty Lue a few years back. He actually is on the record saying that he felt lowballed in that offer. And here again, at the very least, whether you want to call it lowballing, lowball adjacent, whatever term you want to use for this, the Lakers, I think, thought that they could get this guy for a little bit less than the Godfather offer because they're the Lakers. There's this sentiment around Lakers Twitter and Lakers fans of Lakers exceptionalism. And for a long time, essentially, the Lakers exceptionalism meant that the Lakers had opportunities afforded to them because they are the Lakers and because of past greatness and stuff like that. LeBron came to the Lakers as an example of that Lakers exceptionalism. And where I think it can kind of become a negative or a pejorative term is in cases like this with the Lakers, where they think they are exceptional because they are the Lakers. Whereas, with Dr. Buss, they were held to an exceptional standard because you work for the Lakers. And I think this offer, the one to Ty Lue before, and then just their general sentiment towards coaching, it kind of screams to me of that negative version of Lakers exceptionalism.
My question is, when do they learn? Because I was right when you said Ty Lue, I was about to bring that up because they wanted to give him a 3-year deal. He wanted a 4-year deal. It didn't happen. If that would have went down, they're never in this mess to begin with. And now with Dan Hurley, you could make it out to be that $70 million over 6 years is a fair offer for a guy that's ever coached the NBA. But I thought that number needed to be $13 to $16 million a season when Kentucky offered him $11 million a season. He said no, and the Lakers just go $11.7 million a season. So will they ever learn, or will it continue to just be the arrogance of, hey, we're the Lakers and people should want to be with us, and if they're not, we'll find the way to eventually make them regret it?
Yeah, learning usually comes through accountability, right? Like, we as kids learn that we shouldn't climb up the side of our bed or the wrong side of our bed because gravity teaches us, okay, that was dumb. And with Rob Pelinka, he's never held accountable. He's Teflon. He can make whatever series of mistakes that he wants, and he knows that he could just go to Jeannie and say, oh, Dan Hurley just didn't understand what it meant to be a Laker. And then Jeannie will buy it. So I don't know that they'll learn. They made the same mistake with Ty. They come right back. They make the same mistake again. It's the same leadership. It's the same group of people who were making all of these decisions. It would indicate to me that there is no learning process here unless, minority owners start kind of asking some tough questions of Jeannie, where it starts, where she starts facing some accountability from shareholders of the Lakers who are saying, hey, we have watched the Golden State Warriors leapfrog us in terms of franchise value. We have watched the Clippers leapfrog us in terms of franchise value. We're just kind of stuck in this place right now, and we're seen as cheap. And now it's now publicly out there that we made a cheap offer to somebody that we were looking at as the central identity to our organization moving forward. And now it's really out there that we're cheap. So like, that's not going to help our standing with those evaluations either. I don't know that you'll see any real accountability or any real change or learning process until it's Jeannie with her feet to the fire.
Anthony Irwin here with us. Does a great job, Lakers reporter for Lakers Daily, also the host of Odyssey's Lakers Lounge. Here's the multi-million-dollar question. Who do you think right now is going to be the next coach of the Los Angeles Lakers with it not being Danny Hurley?
Man, could be you. You interested?
I do have a media career, and I'm less arrogant than JJ Redick, so maybe.
But no, I would say if I had a gun to my head, I would say it's between Borrego and Cassell. Borrego's name has come up basically throughout this entire process as kind of that Frank Vogel safety valve, break glass in case of emergency type of candidate. Problem there, though, is that he is interested and is a leading candidate for the Cleveland Cavaliers job. So the Lakers have some competition there. I can't believe that the Cleveland Cavaliers are competition. They're seen as competition to hire a head coach against the Lakers. It's like really a sign of the times. And then with Cassell, right, he has the opportunity to move up the bench there in Boston with Charles Lee going to Charlotte. Boston looks like they're about to win a championship, so maybe he'll get a promotion that way as well. So I don't think he'll be as cheap as maybe the Lakers are hoping. But the one thing is for sure here in terms of their options right now, you mentioned JJ Redick. It's not nearly as simple as, well, that didn't work out with Dan. Let's go back to JJ. I've heard that he has cooled on the Lakers, and I've heard that the Lakers during the process leading up to Dan Hurley had somewhat cooled on JJ. Those conversations would have to be productive to get back to where things felt before all of this Dan Hurley mess.
It'd be one thing if the Lakers have cooled on JJ. Why is JJ cooled on the Lakers? Just because, like, this guy hasn't been a head coach in the NBA. He should be fortunate that they're maybe interested in him. That doesn't make sense to me, but it goes back to the arrogance of JJ Redick, if that's true.
I think there's certainly ego at play there. He's a Duke guy. For a long time, he was the Duke guy, yeah. Right? Like that screams ego and arrogance. Like that's just it's built into the fibers of that university and the players that come from it. But my answer is like why would JJ feel cool on the Lakers? Waves generally at everything. It's just kind of a mess over there right now. You have too many Rambuses involved. Rob Pelinka is never going to face accountability. Eric Pincus just wrote up a great piece for Bleacher Report talking about the ways that the Lakers don't spend compared to other teams. So you have a coach, whoever takes this job, is going to be walking into an extremely volatile situation where you have 2 years to wow everybody. And even if you wow people in those 2 years, there's a chance you're going to lose your job. Frank Vogel won a championship. He's gone. Darvin Ham got to the Western Conference, won more games the following season. He's also gone. So like I think it's more, I don't know if it's like JJ has soured on the notion of coaching. I think it's just that the Lakers are such a mess right now that JJ Redick, being the smart guy that he is, he could always go back to ESPN. And the longer that he says smart things on ESPN's airwaves, he's going to keep on getting opportunities. And a better one is probably going to come along than the Lakers currently right now.
Two more for Anthony Irwin, who joins us right now on the Infinity Sports Network. It is the Zach Gelb Show. The future, actually, before we get to the future LeBron James, why was Darvin Ham let go? And if the Lakers knew this search was going to play out this way, do you think they just would not have got rid of Darvin Ham to begin with?
That's a great question. It's one that I've been going back and forth on a bunch. I think things had gotten pretty untenable in that locker room between Darvin and the players all year. I was doing a bunch of reporting on basically a situation that was getting worse and worse and worse. The reports as the Lakers were looking for a head coach is that they were looking for somebody who was really prepared, communicates well, holds players accountable. Essentially, reading between the lines there, they're saying that Darvin Ham was ill-prepared, poor communicator, didn't hold guys accountable in the way that the Lakers wanted him to, and the way that the guys wanted to too. There are a lot of things that you hear from that locker room where everybody was just kind of waiting for him to stop doing the whole run harder, try faster, all of those things, like grittier. Those things, they're okay for a little while, but eventually when you start to see that your coach is kind of outmatched on a nightly basis, you lose the locker room. And I think that that's what happened there. Now, in terms of whether the Lakers, given how all of this played out, would have just kept Darvin, I want to say no, because
it saves him the embarrassment.
It would indicate to what's that?
It saves him the embarrassment, at least.
It does.
It's been embarrassing what happened.
But it's also like it would just be a different version of embarrassment. It would speak to poor process. So I want to say no, that they would still have probably hired or fired Darvin because things had gotten so untenable there. But you're absolutely right to prove that all this process has done is put in bright gold letters that the Lakers, who were once this vaunted, prestigious organization, the show about them was called Winning Time, is now cheap.
Yeah.
They're gold plated.
Last thing I'll ask you, Anthony Irwin, I led the show talking, and I've said this before, that LeBron, I fully expect him to be back with the Lakers next season, but he should leave. And he should go somewhere else, however many more years he's going to play to try to go win a championship, one more championship. I know he responded on Twitter yesterday, this notion that he doesn't want to win anymore, and he laughed at that, but he should leave, right? But no one thinks he will. Is that kind of your view as well?
I mean, he could take his co-host's advice, right? His co-host has looked at what the Lakers are doing. Is like, yeah, I think I'm good, as it stands right now. That is, but I've thought about this a lot too. Where if the focus for LeBron James is winning a championship, it's not even set the Lakers aside.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in the Western Conference. You see what Dallas had to go through to get to even have the opportunity to play Boston in the finals in the conference next year.
I know he won't go back to Miami, but Miami could be in play. The Knicks, the Sixers.
Philly.
The Sixers would be sensational for him.
Yeah, Philly. Any Cleveland.
Think about it. Anthony Davis is an injured big man. Joel Embiid is a better injured big man. And you already have the other piece there in Maxey, who the Lakers are trying to get another piece this year. I think Philly would be perfect for him.
And we know that Daryl Morey is going to pull out all the stops to try to convince LeBron. So I heading into this offseason, I would have said LeBron leaving is completely off the table. There is zero chance whatsoever that he was going to leave. This last 48 hours or so is the first time that I've thought to myself that he could, if not should. You learn things like never meet your heroes, never cover your favorite franchise because you learn things about them. You find out how the sausage is made, and you're like, yeah, this is
I'll
this
pass
is
on
tough.
that meal.
And I think I'll wait for the salad.
Yeah, the other name that gets thrown out there for coaching this team, and I laugh at it, Jay Wright. If the Lakers call Jay Wright, how quickly do you think he hangs up the phone and says no thanks?
I don't think he would insult them, but I certainly think he loves doing TV. He loves that, he did his time, he did his winning, and he exits the sport looking like an absolute genius. And now he gets to just sit there and analyze everybody else who are fighting for their lives in this industry. And I think once you lose that desire for the competition, it's over for you. So maybe the Lakers make some kind of crazy offer or whatever, but I'd be pretty surprised if Jay Wright leaves television. From everything that you hear, he loves it there too much.
He's the host of Odyssey's Lakers Lounge, also Lakers reporter for Lakers Daily. He's Anthony Irwin. Anthony, good deal. Appreciate you doing this.
Thank you guys for having me.
There you go, Anthony Irwin joining us. We will react to that when we come on back. Also, get into this Jay Wright stuff because I keep on seeing Jay Wright's name thrown out there, and I keep on laughing for one big reason. We'll get to that next. Update time first. Here she is, Erica Herskowitz.
Infinity Sports Network, Sports Flash.
All right, Zach. Well, the word coming down from the Celtics today, the status of center Kristaps Porzingis is now up in the air for Game 3 of the NBA Finals in Dallas tomorrow night. That's because he's considered day-to-day with what the Celtics are calling a rare injury to his left leg. Meanwhile, according to reports, Luka Doncic received a pain-killing injection for a thoracic contusion prior to Game 2 and is expected to get another one before tomorrow night. Boston leads the series 2-0. Aaron Rodgers was a no-show at Jets' mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Robert Saleh is calling it an inexcused absence, which means he's subject to a fine. Saleh says Rodgers told him he had a prior commitment that was important to him. T. Higgins didn't report to Bengals' mandatory training camp today as he seeks a long-term deal, and Amari Cooper's absence from Browns minicamp was also unexcused, most likely due to the contract that he's seeking. Niners running back Christian McCaffrey will be the cover athlete on Madden 25, set to be released in August. And Phillies all-star catcher JT Realmuto will have surgery on his right knee, so the Phils placed him on the 10-day injured list today. No timetable yet for his return. I'm Erica Herskowitz.
This is the Infinity Sports Network. Check out our new and improved website at infinitysportsnet.com. That's infinitysportsnet.com.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
You're in the right place. The Infinity Sports Network.
All right, it is the Infinity Sports Network. Real quickly, Jay Wright, he's not being the next coach of the Lakers. And here's why. They just offered Danny Hurley $70 million over 6 years. To get Jay Wright to be the coach of the Lakers, you have to significantly improve that offer. Why wouldn't you just give that offer to Danny Hurley in the first place, who you wanted? Jay Wright's not going to be interested. I actually believe that Jay Wright has coached his final game. When he left Villanova, I said he was never returning back to college basketball. I thought the avenue would be open for the NBA, but we've seen that Sixers job open up. He lives in that area, didn't take it, didn't pursue it. If the Knicks open up, that could be a possibility, especially if you keep on having Jalen Brunson and Dante DiVincenzo and Josh Hart on the team as Villanova guys. But he's not going all the way out to LA. Like, just the idea of Jay Wright being the coach of the Lakers, yeah, of course it's a fit, right? It's kind of like Showtime-like. So I could see that in terms of just the image, but he's not taking the job. So this idea and people throwing out Jay Wright, they could call him. I think Anthony Irwin's right. He'll politely say, thanks, but no thanks. But I am very much so now fascinated with this Joey Chestnut story, Santer. So I just went to the bathroom during the break. And in the bathroom, they have WFAN playing on the speaker. And I overheard Marash getting into a debate with a caller about what you put on a hot dog. I'll get to the Joey Chestnut controversy in just a second. He's out of the 2024 Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest, as I'll save the reasoning why. But Marash is now on WFAN down the hall, legendary radio station, making the case that he should stop being shamed for wanting to put ketchup on a hot dog. Because there's a lot of hot dog snobs that go, oh, you can't put ketchup and you got to put mustard. So, Samter, you're a little bit of a food snob, I would say. You have a pretty damn good palate. When you have a hot dog, what do you put on your hot dog? Just wondering.
I do mustard, like a spicy mustard, sauerkraut, and sometimes some diced onions.
Oh, that sounds very good.
I used to be a ketchup and a hot dog, ketchup and mustard mix kind of guy. I'm not anti-ketchup on a hot dog, but I haven't put ketchup on a hot dog in decades. So I'm not anti-ketchup, but I also am not interested at all in ketchup on a hot dog. I don't think it's sacrilegious to do it, but I also don't think that it's the right way to go.
You said something, and I think we share a similar belief. I'll get to that in just a second. But Chris Hess, where are you at? What do you put on your hot dog?
I'm not really one that eats hot dogs.
You don't eat hot dogs at all?
I don't eat them at all. They're just not my go-to, and I can't even tell you the last time I had one.
You're not vegan, right?
No.
Okay. I'm
just not.
No judgment, by the way, if you are, but you just didn't come off to me as someone that doesn't eat meat.
I prefer the steak and burger department over a hot dog. If a hot dog's there, I'll probably eat it. But
what will you put on it, though? Like your dad says, son, for Father's Day, we're having hot dogs. What do you put on your hot dog this weekend?
Ketchup, a little mustard, and relish. That's pickle relish.
Gotcha. All righty. Here's where I stand, Samter, on it. And I don't know if we're exactly in the same line, but you said when you were younger, you like ketchup on a hot dog. When I was younger, I hated the taste of mustard. Hated it. But now, when I've been older, I love mustard. And I think if you're getting like a traditional hot dog, not like a pig in a blanket, but a traditional hot dog, I will still put ketchup on it. But when I get a pig in a blanket and I could go eat like a ton of pigs in the blanket and then you get the little hot dogs and you're just dipping them in sauces, I prefer ketchup. But if you're going to dress up the hot dog, I'll put a little ketchup on it. You know, when I was younger, I would only go ketchup, but now I do dabble more so in mustard. So I think as I've gotten older and my palate has matured, I would say I'm more of a mustard guy than a ketchup, but I will not shame people. That's the one food debate I don't get, when people shame people for putting ketchup on a hot dog.
Well, here's the only time I will shame someone for doing that.
Uh-oh.
If you put only ketchup on a hot dog.
Only.
You have to have ketchup and mustard combo.
Mm-hmm.
You can't go just straight ketchup. That makes no sense. And if you are going to do straight ketchup, you have to have some other condiment, whether it's onions or relish or my favorite, sauerkraut. But you can't just like have a dog, a bun, and ketchup on it. That's disgusting.
Well, you know what? I actually going to take back one thing I said. The preeminent hot dog place in America
is Yankee Stadium.
That's totally wrong. I was just at Yankee Stadium. Their hot dogs are actually trash at Yankee Stadium. Is a place, I think it's called Clifton, New Jersey. It's called Rutt's Hut. They call their hot dogs the Ripper. And the last time I got a Ripper, 2 Rippers, let's be fair, you're not just getting one. I put ketchup, I put a mustard on it, spicy mustard. And they almost have like a paintbrush that you paint the mustard onto the hot dog. So yeah, I guess now I am more of a mustard guy than a ketchup guy. If I'm just getting a traditional hot dog, I am leaning spicy mustard. And I like a spicy mustard.
Yeah, like a regular yellow mustard's fine, but a good spicy mustard, oh yeah, there's nothing better. But I do take a little offense.
The regular light mustard, I'm not a big fan of. Spicy mustard.
Yeah, like a light French's mustard it's not my favorite, but I would make do with it. But like a good golden brown spicy mustard, I love it. But I do take offense to your knocking the Yankee Stadium hot dogs. I used to serve those hot dogs.
Yankee Stadium food sucks.
I used to serve those hot dogs
at
up
old
and down
Yankee
aisles.
Stadium, not new Yankee Stadium.
Okay.
New Yankee Stadium's food is not good.
Okay, so as long as you're okay with the old Yankee Stadium, because I used to like go up and down the aisles with that big gigantic tray with boiling water on one side and the buns on the other side, and I would come up to your place, I would take the bun out, I would take the hot dog out of the boiling, gross, disgusting hot dog water, I put the hot dog on the bun, I'd smother on whatever you wanted, I put on give you a little package of mustard and ketchup, get the sauerkraut, wrap it up in tin foil, and hand it down the aisle. How many hands touched that hot dog before it got to the guy who was eating it? I don't know, I don't care, but it was amazing. That is my favorite type of hot dog. Ballpark boiled Franks is the way to go.
You do very well with wieners in your hands, some tell me.
You had to take it that way, Zachary.
I'm just hearing you talk about all these wieners that you put in your hand and how you pass them down the aisle.
There's so many ways you could have gone with that story, but you went this way.
I heard he's got that dog in him.
Oh, that's a little too far. No, I'm just kidding. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We will get to Joey Chestnut and why he is out of the 2024 Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest coming up later in the show. Think about it. Caitlin Clark, not on the USA Women's Basketball team. Joey Chestnut, not in the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. What is going on in the sports world right now when the hot dog eating contest is out on Joey Chestnut and Team USA's women's basketball team is out on Caitlin Clark? Do you want the stars? Do you want the viewership? Do you want the attention? Or do you just want to be irrelevant? Team USA, women's basketball, becoming irrelevant. The hot dog eating contest, about to become irrelevant. We need to cater to our stars. We need to genuflect to the great Joey Chestnut and the excellent Caitlin Clark. Coming on back.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
To infinity and beyond.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show. Here's your host, Zach Gelb.
Final 60 minutes on this Tuesday of the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. As the next hour, we have a lot to get to. Neal Brown, the head football coach at West Virginia, is going to stop by. We'll do a little college football fix. We will also get into this Joey Chestnut story, more of it, coming up in about 40 minutes from now, as Joey Chestnut is out of the Nathan's Hot Dog Eating Contest. But we got to start with the biggest story of the day, and we know Danny Hurley is not taking the Los Angeles Lakers job. He rejected a 6-year offer for $70 million. I believe LeBron James should leave the Lakers this offseason. I don't think he will, but I think he should. 71.8% on X agree with me, at Zach Gelb, at INF Sportsnet. Should LeBron leave the Lakers this offseason and join a new team? 71.8% say yes, 28.2% say no. Where could LeBron go? Sixers, Knicks, Heat should be interested in a reunion. I think that's a bad relationship with him and Pat Riley, though. Golden State, I would love to see Steph and LeBron end their careers together. That would be fun. And what about Dallas? I know Kristaps Porzingis could be out for the rest of the NBA Finals. His status is day-to-day. I would be surprised if he's able to be effective again with this new injury that's all crazy and there's a lot of ambiguity on what the status is of one Kristaps Porzingis, where it's a rare injury. It seems like it's a serious injury, but they're still listing him as day-to-day. But the Celtics are up 2-0. I still think they'll win the NBA Finals. But let's say, that does end up being true and the Mavs lose. Kyrie's wanted to return and play again with LeBron. LeBron has talked positively about Luka. Could you see that trio forming in Dallas? So there's enough destinations where you can at least have the conversation that if LeBron, who still claims, right, he's serious about winning, and he scoffed at that notion that he's, about people saying, oh, LeBron doesn't care about winning. Well, if you do, you leave the Lakers, because the Lakers right now don't have a coach. The coach is probably going to be either James Borrego, JJ Redick, or Sam Cassell. You need to go add another piece this offseason. I don't trust Rob Pelinka right now to get the job done. And Anthony Davis and LeBron, unfortunately, suffered injuries too since going to L.A., but Anthony Davis is hurt all the time. So I don't see why you want to end your career if you're still focused on winning in L.A. Now, there's business reasons and financial reasons why you'd want to stay in L.A., but in terms of winning, you don't got a shot to win with the Lakers this upcoming season or the season after that. And I don't know how much longer we can expect LeBron, even though he's still playing at a very high level, to be in the NBA. So, when we get into who's going to be the next Lakers coach, Anthony Irwin joined us earlier. He's a Lakers reporter for Lakers Daily, also the host of Odyssey's Lakers Lounge. He said if you put a gun to his head, it would either be Sam Cassell or James Borrego. He thinks one of those two names will be the next head coach of the Lakers. So it's funny because the name that was always hot was JJ Redick. And if you listen to this show, you know I'm not a fan of JJ Redick. And I do believe, though, that JJ Redick would cater and would be a player's coach. But if someone dares to question him, I do think there's an arrogance to JJ Redick where it's kind of he knows so much more than everybody else that could create some contentious situations in the locker room. So let's get into a little bit about JJ Redick. This was last week We knew Danny Hurley was an option. Now we know he's no longer. But I asked Trevor Lane, who does a great show, Laker Nation, and this was on Thursday last week right here on our show. I asked Trevor Lane for his reaction. If it got to the point where Hurley says no and the Lakers end up hiring J.J. Redick, what would the fan reaction be?
There's going to be disappointment at this point if it winds up being J.J. Redick, because so many of the red flags with J.J. about having never coached before and things of that nature. How is he going to manage a locker room? A lot of those concerns, while they're not completely erased with Dan Hurley, they are certainly mitigated by bringing him in. So I think there's going to be disappointment from Lakers fans if it does wind up being J.J. Redick at this stage, because there were already so many concerns about whether or not this was the right move to begin with.
At this point, you hire J.J. Redick, I don't think that's met positively. Because if the name Danny Hurley was never dangled out there, and if Lakers fans didn't think that was a realistic option, and it felt like with the reporting that it was going to be Danny Hurley, like when the name Danny Hurley first got out there, I was like, nope, not going to happen. He shouldn't leave. He's not an NBA coach. Don't do that. Stay at UConn. But then when you get Anthony Irwin and John Fanta talking about $100 million offer, I'm like, oh, man, he's going to take that. Now, the offer ended up being 6 years, $70 million, and the Lakers were cheap, where I don't get if you're going to, step into the batter's box and take a swing why you wouldn't bring a baseball bat to the plate, because that's what the Lakers basically did. They brought something other than a baseball bat and thought they were going to get a hit and get Danny Hurley. Now, this is a guy that turned down $11 million in college a year to go coach at the legendary brand of Kentucky. I get it. He's a blue blood right now at UConn, and he just won back-to-back national championships, but he did not sign that new contract with UConn yet. And you only offer him $11 million? So you know that and where that offer was, and the Lakers say, okay, we know he was offered $11 million from Kentucky and turned it down to stay in college basketball. And right, the Lakers are kind of the Kentucky of the NBA as what Kentucky is to college basketball. And your offer is only $11.7 million a year. You needed to go $13, $14, $15, $16 million a year. But the fact that Danny Hurley's name got out there and there was a belief that Danny Hurley's going to be the coach, I think the Lakers are in a very tough spot, because now who do you pivot to that's going to elicit excitement? Like James Borrego and Sam Cassell could be fine hires, but they don't elicit excitement. And J.J. Redick, I think a lot of people were 50-50. I thought that was a polarizing name to begin with. And now you're going to go back to him potentially, which I don't know if they are. And I don't know who to believe and who to trust. But Anthony Irwin, who joined us earlier, he said that it seems like the Lakers are cooling on J.J. Redick and J.J. Redick's cooling on the Lakers. And the first part about that, J.J. Redick's cooling on the Lakers, or it should be the Lakers are cooling on J.J. Redick. My question is why? Why? Why are the Lakers cooling on J.J. Redick if he was a part of the process earlier? That's a fair question. But the question that I have that's even bigger than that one, it's the same question. It's why is J.J. Redick cooling on the Lakers? And it's because of ego. This dude's ego is probably bruised because he thought he was going to get the job. He thought he was all that, right? I could just go from the ESPN desk and do my podcast with LeBron and get the Lakers job. And then, they flirted with somebody else who's a better basketball coach than him, who's a two-time national champion in Danny Hurley, who also has no NBA coaching experience, and you have no NBA coaching experience. So he's all sensitive now that it's getting portrayed like he's plan B. And you can't tell me they didn't want the Lakers job, because it seemed like he could have had the Hornets job if he wanted it. But he knew the Lakers were in play. So if that's right, that J.J. Redick's ego is bruised, and he's annoyed that they talk to other people, I don't want J.J. Redick as the coach if I'm a Lakers fan. Here is John Fanta. This was on our show on Friday, when, once again, we didn't know if Danny Hurley was going to take the job or not yet. But Fanta talked about that there were a few Lakers players, when it seemed like J.J. was going to be the coach, that opposed J.J. Redick and that hire and made that clear to ownership and management.
And I think a key part of this, based on people that I talk with in the industry, is that at a certain point, a Lakers player or two or three, not named LeBron James, said, I like JJ Redick, but I don't know if I love this smartest guy in the room. I'm going to talk down. I'm going to talk at you. I know it all type thing. When I played against him and I get it, but I don't. I think that then caused Rob Pelinka and Jeannie Buss to reopen the door. And all of a sudden, when they started to ask again about Hurley, what was, he's mildly interested, became he's interested and he wants to talk.
Well, I don't know if this point's been made, and I've seen many sites have ripped that audio from our show and have played it and have posted it in many other spots. I don't know if this point has been made, though, yet about it. Who's the player on the Lakers roster? Fanta says it's not LeBron. That would oppose and also have enough weight to potentially make the Lakers pivot on JJ Redick. And there's only one. And that player's name would be Anthony Davis. So let's just go what the conversation was last week in regards to Dan Hurley. And some people said, yeah, LeBron would be on board with it, but LeBron said, don't make this hire based off me. You're basing it off the future of the Lakers for life with after LeBron James. Well, who becomes the face of the franchise the moment LeBron James walks away? It's been Anthony Davis. LeBron has talked about this forever. Where, right, he's the guy now, and then eventually this needs to be Anthony Davis's team. Even when they won a championship, LeBron's their best player, but Anthony Davis was their most valuable. And when Anthony Davis is healthy, right, we've seen that team, even though you don't think they can win a championship. I know they won one championship together, but even 2 years ago, they were able to make a Western Conference Finals, and then they got swept by the Nuggets. So you see the importance of Anthony Davis being healthy. So when I hear that from Fanta, and I hear Anthony Irwin also say the Lakers and JJ Redick have both cooled on one another, and Trevor Lane is talking about the disappointment the Lakers fans would have, I think you could kind of tell the truth in all that. And you could kind of figure out what the interpretation is. And the interpretation is, I don't think Anthony Davis is all that enamored about JJ Redick being his next coach. That's the way that I interpret it. There's not another player on the roster that you're not going to hire a coach because that player says, yeah, I don't think we should hire him. It's either LeBron, and Fanta said it's not LeBron. And then he said it's a player, maybe three players, right? But there's only one other player on the roster whose word carries like a significant amount of weight. Like Austin Reeves' name could carry some weight. But are you really not going to hire a coach if Austin Reeves doesn't want someone? No, it's Anthony Davis's name. So I thought when it wasn't Hurley, I'm like, okay, you probably then go back to Redick. But now the more and more this plays out, and I know Borrego is a candidate for the Cavs job, and people think he can get that job if he wants it. And Borrego was a coach of the Hornets before. And, you can't win with that team. Let's just be real. And he was with the Spurs for a bunch of years with Pop. Anthony Irwin said it this way. Gun to my head, he thinks it's either Borrego or it's Cassell. I think it's going to be Borrego. You put a gun to my head and you say, Zach, who's going to be the next coach of the Lakers? First off, I do not feel comfortable. There's sometimes you use that phrase and it's like, I can feel comfortable with my answer. I do not feel comfortable. But we know it's not Danny Hurley. Now there's mixed reports out there about JJ Redick with his interest in the Lakers and Lakers' interest in him. Sam Cassell is really starting to become the Eric Bieniemy, in the NBA, where how many times we have to hear this guy's name for a job and he never gets one. It's like stunning to me that Sam Cassell hasn't got a head coaching job yet. So I look at Borrego, who's been a coach before, and it's not like a bad hire, but it's not a great hire. It's a hire when you went from Hurley to, then it's not going to be JJ, and there was 50-50 on JJ. It's not going to be Sam Cassell. It's like, okay, you hired James Borrego. You would have been better off at least being able to say to your fan base, we did everything we could, everything in our power to go get Dan Hurley. But the Lakers did not do everything in their power to go get Dan Hurley. And I have questions about Dan Hurley fitting in the NBA with his demanding style and quirky personality. But I could at least live with it if I was a Lakers fan. You offered Dan Hurley $14, $15 million a year and he turns you down. because then that's a big boy offer compared to what you try to tell us what was a big boy offer. But unless they have another name that comes out of nowhere, the next coach of the Lakers, when they announce it, it's going to seem very underwhelming. And that's not good for the Lakers. Maybe it ends up working. But the Laker public perception with the Celtics also about to win another championship is not in a good spot. Vince Goodwill, he said this, who the hell knows when talking about the next Lakers coach? Some folks around the league feel J.J. Redick won't want to be involved with the circus and that he won't want to be a second choice, but he wants to coach. The Lakers seem very intrigued by him for whatever reason, and the focus will smoothly shift to him because who else? The coaching cycle is nearly over, and Redick does a podcast with LeBron James. So Vince, I guess, still thinks it's going to be J.J. Redick, but he acknowledges the back and forth here. And if that's the case, that J.J.'s now getting cold feet because he's the second choice and his ego got bruised, then J.J. Redick, who probably shouldn't be the coach of the should not be the coach of the Lakers to begin with, but then he definitely shouldn't be the coach of the Lakers if he's going to have an arrogance because they were annoyed that they were trying to go get Dan Hurley. All righty, we'll take a break. We'll come on back. We'll do a little college football fix next. West Virginia had a great season last year. We'll connect with their head football coach, Neal Brown, when we return in 5 minutes right here on the Zach Gelb Show.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. 1 minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. "45 seconds remaining. "30 seconds remaining. "15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back to the Infinity Sports Network.
And this portion of the show is brought to you by Wesley Financial. Stuck in a timeshare and want out? Contact Wesley Financial Group now and get a free timeshare exit information kit at wesleyfinancialgroup.com. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. Hopefully, momentarily, we will have Neal Brown, the head football coach at West Virginia. What a story that was a year ago. Walked into the season, a lot of people thought he was going to get fired at the end of the year. I remember him telling everyone at Big 12 Media Day that his team was a lot better than what people were giving him credit for, and they ended up going 9-4. And now the Mountaineers, the first time in a long time, you walk into a football season where people are very optimistic as they return their backfield and they return, obviously, their quarterback as well, Garrett Green. And that's a West Virginia team where it was a coach that they trusted, or I don't know how much they trusted him, but they at least gave him some patience after the first 4 years being up and down, and then boom, in year 5, ends up going 9-4, and we'll see how they could build off that. And that's always the interesting part, is when you go from having no expectation to then expectations do derive. How do you handle that taste of success and when there's more and more pressure that ends up going on you? And that's going to be fascinating to see with this West Virginia team for this upcoming season. What was that, Samter? So I can't hear what you're saying. Just go ahead.
I was just saying, Coach Neal Brown, they are still finishing up practice, so he's going to be joining us next segment at 5:40.
Okay, cool. So we're going to get him right up the practice field. Voice is going to be scratchy after probably yelling. That's how I usually love to hear my football coaches, when they could you could even barely hear what they're about to say because they've just been yelling at the kids all throughout practice. So we'll get to Neal Brown coming up at 5:40 p.m. Eastern time today. So let's do this then. Off of Caitlin Clark not making Team USA's roster, and there's still a chance she gets on it because of injury, but right now Caitlin Clark is not going to be on Team USA's roster for the Olympics, and obviously USA could win gold without her. I think they're like 54, 56-0 since 1996, and they've won 7 straight gold medals since they won 7 gold medals since 1996. So who is an athlete in his or her sport that became the storyline for his or her sport? And I start in my lifetime, and that's all I'll do it. I'll answer it in my lifetime. You could feel free, Chris and Samter, to go way back on your answer. But it's Tiger Woods. In my lifetime, there's never been a singular athlete that was the sport more than Tiger. And in golf, when you have such a large field, it's almost insulting to ask the question, but it was is it Tiger or the field? And Tiger Woods, from a viewership standpoint, meant everything, and it wasn't even close. And there were so many great wins, right? We know the sensation, the phenomena that he was. And then you had one of the craziest downfalls you will ever see, off of sex addiction and that scandal, and then, right, the car getting crashed, and his wife, his now ex-wife, chasing him with that golf club too. And it felt like even when Tiger got back, he was never going to win again. I forget which tournament it was, but there was one tournament, he missed the cut. He was 12 or 13 over. And I'm like, God, this is it. We're never going to see Tiger Woods, because Tiger Woods got to a standard where it wasn't just winning an individual tournament. It was, how many majors do you win in a year? And that last major championship, which was the 2008 U.S. Open, and they had the playoff with Rocco Mediate, that seemed like it was going to be the last one. And no one would have ever thought that when he was on one leg and he broke his leg and he played through the playoff and ended up winning. But then everything that followed it was just absolute just craziness. And it was unbelievable. You couldn't even if you wanted a drama, crazy downfall of a superstar, you would never write that script. It was not believable. And there was a lot of other stuff. And then, against all odds, in the 2019 Masters, a place where he already won 1997, 2001, 2002, 2005, with 4 green jackets, he wins his 5th green jacket in 2019. And they had to move the start time up of that last round. I think it was because of weather. And I'll never forget it. I was here. I was doing the weekend overnights at the time. And I remember, because of how early Tiger was teeing off, and I got off the air at 6 a.m. Eastern time, and I think I had to record an interview in the morning before my next show, because I think I was maybe filling in that week too. I slept on a couch, did the interview early in the morning, and then stayed here and watched the completion of that final round. And to then see Tiger walk off the 18th at Augusta, knowing he won another green jacket and finally got another major, which none of us thought would ever happen again, or most of us didn't think it would happen again. And to be with his kids, where golf probably was viewed as a negative to those kids for a while because it took dad away from the family, and there was obviously so many things that Tiger did wrong on his own that got highlighted publicly because of the star he was to golf. But Tiger Woods, for me, and he's one of my favorite athletes ever, he was the athlete that was the storyline and was the sport of golf. And even now, golf, because of COVID, had a big upswing, but then you had the whole live and PGA stuff, and it turned a lot of people off. And even now, Scottie Scheffler is incredible, but he doesn't have personality. He doesn't captivate your attention the way Tiger Woods did. And there's been some big names as of late in golf, but no one for the rest of my life will be bigger to the sport of golf than what Tiger did provide. All righty, Samter, what's your answer here?
Well, initially, I was going to go with Lance Armstrong and how he took over the cycling world. And obviously, we know what happened after the fact.
Yeah.
But during that time...
By the way, we go from Tiger Woods and how he crumbled, and then Lance Armstrong and how he crumbled. Man, that's a crazy back-to-back one.
I mean, the difference was Tiger crumbled because of personal issues. Mm-hmm. Lance crumbled because he's a cheater, a liar, and a terrible human being.
And a fraud.
And a fraud.
Yeah.
But at the time, I had never watched cycling before. But during the time, I watched Lance Armstrong. He was cycling. He was everything about cycling. And he was amazing, and we loved him.
And everyone had those Livestrong bracelets, remember?
He was cycling. However, in light of today's news, I'm going to have to switch my vote and switch my choice. It's Joey Chestnut.
Wait. You're saying the hot dog eating contest is a sport?
I mean, it depends on how you define a sport, but for me...
Would you consider that a sport?
Yes. I think any activity that requires physical exertion and physical... like poker is not a sport because you're sitting at a table just with cards. Golf is a sport. Frisbee is a sport. Frisbee golf is a sport. Anything that involves
what
using
athleticism,
physical...
though, is in hot dog eating?
I mean, first of all, you're eating your
gorging
body.
yourself.
Your body is moving. You're wiggling. I mean, there's actual physical. There's a physical skill involved.
Hold on.
There's
in
a
poker,
skill involved.
In poker, they take the chips and they put it in the table. On the table, in the middle of the table. That's a skill. That requires some athleticism. You're moving your hands.
No,
you're moving your arms.
moving the chips.
You're wiggling.
You don't win or lose based on how well you move the chips in or out. You do win or lose based on how well you eat a hot dog and how well your stomach can handle it. There's a physical skill involved in eating hot dogs.
I'm going to allow your answer because I think it's an entertaining answer, but let the record be shown here. I do not consider the Nathan's hot dog eating contest a sport. I think it's something that is competitively disgusting, but awesome, is the way that I would word that. But continue why your answer is, I'm assuming you're going now, Joey Chestnut.
Yeah, listen. What makes something bigger than the sport, right? You have to have a rival, right? You had Kobayashi, who won 8 straight. And then in 2010, Kobayashi got arrested because of a similar situation where he didn't want to represent and sign an exclusive deal with Nathan's Hot Dogs. Joey Chestnut won 16 out of 17 hot dog eating contests since 2007. He's won 8 straight. And now he's banned because he can't use this, the Nathan's Hot Dog because he wants to eat an impossible hot dog. This is a travesty for the sport, and at the end of the day, I don't watch the Nathan hot dog eating contest unless it involves Joey Chestnut. I don't care about the hot dog eating contest. I care about watching Joey Chestnut. All the other guys, all the other people who can do what they do, I don't care about them. I don't care and give a crap about them.
Besides Badlands Booker, I met him once. He's a good guy.
He's a nice guy, but I don't care about Badlands Booker eating hot dogs. He's a nice guy. He's funny. He's interesting, but I don't watch the thing for Badlands Booker.
I'm surprised you even knew who he was.
Yeah, or Sophie, whatever her name was. The lady who won a bunch of
Molly?
No.
Molly Schuler?
No.
She was phenomenal. She's crazy. She's the craziest eater I've ever seen.
No,
honestly.
there was the girl who was so good that they created the women's division just for her.
Isn't that Molly Schuler? She was the competitive eater, I'm pretty sure. I could be wrong, but continue your I don't think anyone really cares about
Joey Chestnut, he overtook that sport. Right? No one even knew that there were other eating contests other than the hot dog eating contest until Joey Chestnut came around. And now we know there's wing eating contests and Jell-O eating contests and all these other eating contests. He put the sport on the map. Joey Chestnut transcended competitive eating. Joey Chestnut is the answer, the only one. 16 out of 17 championships.
So I used to despise Joey Chestnut because I heard he was kind of like a jerk. But then I don't know how many years ago, it was a few years ago. Remember, it looked like the hot dog eating contest was going to get canceled and he was hurt. And I think he was on crutches and he rallied up the troops and he got everyone back and they finished the hot dog eating contest. That was an heroic moment. I'm not going to say he's a heroic athlete, but that was a heroic moment that Joey Chestnut did display. But to get back to this story here, Santer, from the sounds of it, right, it's a Nathan's hot dog eating contest. So they want him to wear Nathan's gear and eat Nathan's hot dogs. But he's signing an endorsement deal with Impossible Brands. So now he wants a vegan hot dog and he wanted to wear the Impossible Brand stuff to the Nathan's hot dog eating contest? Is that accurate?
That is accurate. First, they lost their biggest star in Kobayashi in 2010 because he wouldn't sign an exclusive deal. Now they're losing their other biggest star in Joey Chestnut because of an exclusive deal. No one cares about Nathan's hot dogs. We care about the contest. Let them eat. Let them eat.
But it's the Nathan's hot dog eating contest, so Nathan's pays a lot of money.
Who cares? We watch it because, you know what? Joey Chestnut being banned and Joey Chestnut being part of Impossible Hot Dogs is going to make me want to watch more now.
For example, it's
let him eat.
When we were called CBS Sports Radio, it would be like if you said, "Oh, I want to wear an ESPN shirt to CBS Sports Radio." It makes no
PR
sense.
is bad PR. Let him eat. Let him wear the shirt of the other company, and you're going to get more publicity and more eyes watching, and more people are going to buy Nathan's hot dogs.
Okay. Chris Hess, who's your athlete that was the sport?
If we want to go recent memory, I'd have to flip a coin between Tim Tebow and Johnny Manziel. Those two were absolute box office, whether you were lucky enough to see them in the stadium or you tuned in to SEC on CBS during the early 2000s. My God, were those two special.
Yeah, no, and obviously, I would lean more Tebow than Johnny Manziel because Tebow had a cult-like following, where we all knew Tebow was not going to be this great NFL quarterback, but he was one of the greatest college football players I've ever seen. And obviously, that cult-like following when he got to the NFL was demanding to see him play. And he did that Tebow time, that big touchdown to the late, great Demaryius Thomas in that playoff game. But then after that, the NFL career of Tim Tebow was basically nothing. All righty. It is the Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. If you want to go maybe all-time, though, and you go like I just did in my lifetime, also tough to not throw in Muhammad Ali, obviously. So just wanted to throw that out there before I get a tweet. What the heck are you doing not mentioning Muhammad Ali? You know, because that will happen with my mentions. We'll take a break. We'll come on back. We will hopefully connect on a little college football fix with the head honcho at West Virginia in Neal Brown. Update time first. Here she is, Erica Herskowitz.
Infinity Sports Network, Sports Flash.
All right, Zach, this report brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Protect your family, your phone, your furry friends with life, electronic device, and pet health insurance. So the status of Boston center Kristaps Porzingis is now in question for Game 3 of the NBA Finals in Dallas tomorrow night. That's because he's considered day-to-day with what the Celtics are calling a rare injury to his left leg. Meanwhile, Luka Doncic reportedly received a pain-killing injection for a thoracic contusion prior to Game 2, and he's expected to get another one before tomorrow night, and Boston leads that series 2-0. Aaron Rodgers was a no-show at Jets mandatory minicamp today. Head coach Robert Saleh called it an inexcused absence, which means he's subject to fine. T. Higgins didn't report either to the Bengals mandatory camp as he seeks a long-term deal, and Amari Cooper's absence from Browns minicamp was also unexcused, also most likely contract-related. From baseball, Phillies All-Star catcher JT Realmuto will have surgery on his right knee, so the Phils placed him on the 10-day injured list. No timetable for his return. And USA Basketball says she doesn't have enough experience. That's the reason they're giving for leaving Caitlin Clark off the Olympic roster. I'm Erica Herskowitz.
You make the call. 855-212-4227. When you want to talk to us, call 855-212-4227.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Thirty seconds remaining. Fifteen seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Hey, this is Howie. And this is Nick. From the Backstreet Boys. And you're listening to the Zach Gelb Show. And guess what? Zach is back. All right.
He's live. He's nationwide. This is the Zach Gelb Show.
Oh my God, we're back
All right,
again.
we continue. This is Zach Gelb Show on the Infinity Sports Network. We know Luka Doncic is clearly not 100%. That was even before the NBA Finals started. And we know he's dealing with some rib injuries right now. They had the Kristaps Porzingis news. Like, the health now is becoming a storyline in the NBA Finals. It's been a storyline in the NBA playoffs, and usually this is a war of attrition. But the Celtics have raced out to a 2-0 lead, and they now have a 2-0 lead in the NBA Finals. We saw they win Game 1 with Kristaps Porzingis coming back and being their best player, and then he gets hurt again in Game 2. And I did see that Dr. David Chow, who, don't get me wrong, like, not everything that he puts out there is always the end-all, be-all, and he's not always right, but he has a pretty damn good percentage when you predict these injuries and how much time he's gonna miss. Dr. David Chow did a little write-up, and this was an hour ago. He said, I know the Celtics are listing Kristaps Porzingis as day-to-day, but expect him to miss the rest of the NBA Finals and likely need surgery. So it's a rare leg injury for Kristaps Porzingis. Samter, I think Wednesday is now the big story because even though Luka is hurt, he's playing through it, and he had an awesome first half and nobody else showed up. I don't know how much intrigue there is right now in the NBA Finals just because it's 2-0, and the Celtics, even when they played like a B game, they were still better than the Dallas Mavericks in Game 2. But tomorrow becomes... it's basically going to tell us how much life the NBA Finals are going to have. Because if the Mavs win game 3, then the questions will be up until game 4. Well, can the Celtics survive without Kristaps Porzingis? And I know they've been in this territory before because Kristaps Porzingis has been hurt and he has missed most of the postseason, but they didn't really go up against any legitimate opponents. You played the Pacers, who were banged up, played the Cavs, who were banged up, and the Heat were without Jimmy Butler. So I said this before, they didn't need Kristaps Porzingis to get to the finals, but to win the finals, you would think they need him, but you didn't know they were going to get him back. They were going to go up 2-0, and now there's a chance he may not play the rest of the NBA Finals. So game 3, which is tomorrow, Mavs win, it will elongate our feeling of optimism that there's a chance that this is going to become a series, because then you go right back into the boat where we were for game 3. And with game 4, if the Mavs win, then we got a series at 2-2. But if they don't, going back 3-1 to Boston, you feel as if that series is over. But if the Celtics win game 3, with Kristaps in all likelihood not playing tomorrow night, and they go up 3-0, and we know in the NBA a team has never blown a 3-0 series lead, then this NBA season is over. So I can't wait for tomorrow's game just because we're going to get our answers on, will this be somewhat of a series, or is this basically going to be, that's all she wrote in the NBA season?
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, it really just comes down to Kyrie. I mean, at the end of the day, without Porzingis, we read the stat before, they're 30-5 without him, 9-1 in the playoffs, so they're clearly fine without him, but none of it matters if Kyrie's going to play like garbage. If he's going to play back to being Kyrie and what brought them to the finals, then this is a series, right? The Celtics without Porzingis and Kyrie at his best, this is a series. If Kyrie's going to keep playing like this and Porzingis, even without Porzingis, the Celtics are going to win in 4 or 5 or whatever it's going to be. And we have all these stories now about, Luka with the rib injury. He's getting injections. He's been wincing and having issues. Yeah, at the end of the day, if
he
you
had
don't
23 points in the first half, but you saw in the fourth quarter, like you've seen when it was just a leg injury, he was clearly winded.
And not just winded, eventually those injections and that kind of adrenaline is going to run out. Eventually. So if Luka's not 100%, Kyrie can't play, up to his standard. It doesn't matter if Porzingis is there or not. This is going to be a short series, which sucks because not that I was expecting a good series, but
I thought at least 6.
Once the series is over, once the summer's over, then what do we have to look forward to? I mean, the Olympics, I guess, and free agency.
Football.
Yeah, but football's like 2 months away until we really get like training camps. It's going to be a bit. So it's getting a little bit frustrating.
Okay. So you're just frustrated with the fact that, the NBA Finals look like they're going to be a dud.
I was kind of hoping that this is going to kind of stretch out a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I'll say this about Kyrie. There's no player under more pressure than Kyrie in Game 3 because the excuses are out the window. You're not in Boston anymore. And say what you want about Kyrie, and he's a phenomenal player, but he's also a royal pain in the ass. It's amazing how much real estate those Celtics fans still own in his cabeza. Like, after Game 1, you have the audacity to say, oh, that crowd could be louder when you didn't play well and you were getting into it with fans. And then after Game 2, you're walking off the court after you failed to show up again. And did you see this video, Samter? Where he was pointing to the crowd, I'll see you for Game 5. You can't talk that smack. You can't say, oh, 5, I'll see you for 5. Who cares? You could be down 3-1, and that could be going to your funeral in the sports world. So it's amazing to me how Kyrie, basically, he's telling you the crowd isn't a factor. He's telling you the crowd's not getting to him, but it's so obvious the crowd is getting to him. I was watching the rundown last night on Barstool. So Portnoy was sitting courtside at the Celtics game with a Kyrie clown shirt on. And it looked like Kyrie was about to go fight Portnoy after the game, but then there was a guy that Portnoy, I don't know if he brought him to the game, but he was sitting next to Portnoy, and Kyrie was talking to that fan. So Portnoy revealed on the rundown yesterday with Big Cat and Kevin Clancy that all the fans said to Kyrie, and this is when Kyrie stopped and walked over to him after the game, was something along the lines of, oh, it was, were we loud enough for you? Because Kyrie, before the game or right after Game 1, said, yeah, I thought Boston would be louder. And then Kyrie walked over, like, dapped up the guy, and he's like, oh, what did you say? And the fan said, I asked if we were louder than you. And he's like, okay. And then walked away. How does Kyrie Irving stop and have that conversation with that fan? It's because he's incapable of tuning out the Boston fan, because it's really, he's kind of a narcissist. And what I mean by that is he just can't say that I was wrong and I handled Boston the wrong way. And I know that he talked about some regret and all of that, but the fact is he was in the wrong in Boston, and he's trying to create for the finals that there isn't an issue and there's not a problem, and it wasn't going to soften the blow. And I don't think the Celtics have done anything out of line. They've just obviously booed and chanted Kyrie sucks, which they should. But he can't tune out the crowd. He just can't. He can't tune out the crowd and just focus on playing basketball. Like, what was the highlight of Kyrie in game 2? It was he made a 3 that ended up being ruled a 2, and he turned around to the crowd and basically was like, now what? So he now goes back to Dallas, and you don't have to deal with the Boston crowd. Kyrie, anything short of him dominating, balling out, and winning these next 2 games, it's a failure for Kyrie in this series. And quite frankly, because I used to love Kyrie, and I'm sick and tired of his act now, and shame on me. I took the bait. I thought he was starting to change and get back to basketball. His kryptonite's the Boston Celtics. 0-12 recently against the Celtics. And do I see a way where Kyrie, with Luka not at 100%, going to be able to fully lock in and go toe-to-toe and dethrone Boston, who spotted a 2-0 lead even with the Kristaps Porzingis injury? I just don't see it. I don't think that's going to happen. So it's a good point you bring up, Samter, with Kyrie. And I know we talked about Kyrie at length on this show, but you could not have played 2 worse games than Kyrie played in Boston in the first 2 games of the NBA Finals. And this was supposed to be his redemption for Kyrie Irving. He was the guy that was acting like the clown in Boston, but he was supposed to stick it to Boston in these NBA Finals. And a lot of people were on Dallas and all that. And through the first 2 games, he has done squat. And the storyline with Kyrie has been the fans are in his head, whether he wants to admit it or not.
And I mean, going home, if that doesn't solve it, then we don't know what's going on between the ears. But here's the other question. If they get swept out and Kyrie looks awful the entire series,
yeah,
kind of combining the conversations we've been having today about LeBron leaving the Lakers, we've talked about Dallas being a possible destination that could be intriguing to get back to, quote-unquote, his running mate in Kyrie that he regrets not playing with anymore. Mm-hmm. Do you think that a bad showing in the finals could impact LeBron wanting to play with Kyrie and Luka?
Wait, could impact LeBron wanting to play with Kyrie?
Yes.
No. LeBron should want that either way. Even if the Celtics sweep Kyrie Irving and the Dallas Mavericks, what are you doing? You're staying in L.A., where your number 2 player would be Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis isn't better than Luka Doncic. And then your third player is Kyrie Irving in Dallas. With the Lakers, you don't have a third player right now. So I would still rather go to Dallas. And that's the bigger point here with LeBron. He'll stay in L.A. There's no doubt about it in my mind, but there's so many better destinations. Dallas, the Warriors, with Steph at least bare minimum would be fun. The Heat with Jimmy and Bam. The Sixers, that would be number 1 with Joel Embiid and Tyrese Maxey. There's a bunch of destinations here. But Kyrie, there are no excuses. And so far, he's been a no-show after talking all that stuff that he talked leading into the NBA Finals. All righty, fun show today. Big thanks to Chris Hash. Big thanks to Moist Mike as well. Also, Erica Herskowitz on the updates. I'd also like to thank Anthony Irwin for stopping by. I guess we will reconnect or hopefully connect with Neal Brown some point later on in the week for a little college football fix. He got tied up at practice, so I do apologize for that. We'll be back tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern, noon Pacific. We will get you set for Game 3 of the NBA Finals, as you do have the Boston Celtics up 2-0, looking like they probably won't have Kristaps Porzingis, even though he's listed as day-to-day with this rare leg injury. And we'll see if Dallas can get on the board and give us this belief that we're going to have something to look forward to with the NBA Finals. Because if Boston goes up 3-0, turn out the lights, the party's over, and the fat ladies will be singing. All righty, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We out. Talk to you tomorrow.